smallest particle. So atom is the smallest. What does it mean? Smallest means less than the size of the atom. There are no other particles according to Dalton. But nowadays it is proved as wrong. But according to Dalton, atom is the smallest particle and also hardest particle. It is a very hard, smallest particle, hardest particle, and also indivisible. So that means according to Thomson, atom cannot be divided. That means we cannot divide the atom, and inside the atom nothing is there. So according to Dalton. But later Thomson model is proved as wrong. This model is wrong because after discovery of electron by Thomson, we know. So size of the atom or mass of the atom is less than the size of the atom. Size of electron is less than the size of the atom. So automatically less than the size of the atom, there are some other particles like electrons, something particles. But later Rutherford also discovered a proton, and James Chadwick discovered neutron. And after discovery of all the particles, we came to know less than the size of the atom. So atom is not smallest. Less than the size of the atom, there are number of particles, electron, proton, neutron, like that. So atom is not the smallest particle. So that's why Dalton model was discarded, not accepted. Whatever he proposed, so that points were not accepted. Generally, we know, according to Dalton, atom is a substance is made of a large number of atoms, and every atom is the smallest, hardest, and indivisible particle. So that is a Dalton model. Now we'll discuss how Thomson proposed his model. Next model, I'll discuss Thomson model. Thomson model of an atom. It is also called as plum pudding model or watermelon model. Thomson model of an atom or a Thomson's atom model. So in the name only we mentioned who proposed this model. J.J. Thomson. He only first discovered electron. He only first determined specific charge of electron also. So what Thomson saying means, every substance is made of a large number of the atoms. Any substance in the universe or nature may take, the substance must be made of atoms. But what is the structure or shape of the atom? What Thomson saying means, atom is having a spherical shape. So what is the shape of the atom? Means it is having a spherical shape. So one second. So according to Thomson model, if you select an atom, it is for example an atom. So atom is having a spherical shape. Shape of the atom is spherical with a size 10 to the power of minus 10 meter equal to 1 angstrom. So atom is a spherical with a size 10 to the power of minus 10 meter. That is a shape of the atom and size of the atom. But what about the inside the atom? So what Thomson thought means, the total positive charge of the atom was distributed uniformly throughout the atom like this. If take for example a positive charge of the atom is distributed uniformly, not at a particular point. Throughout the atom, the charge, positive charge and mass was distributed uniformly like this. Like red color matter in the watermelon. If take a watermelon fruit, and inside the total red color mass or matter will be there, so that can be compared here with the total positive charge. But what about electrons? So electron first discovered by Thomson only. In the watermelon there are seeds, black color seeds are there. Same way electrons are embedded inside the watermelon like seeds like this. Electrons are embedded inside the atom like seeds in the watermelon or plums in the pudding. For example, if take the pudding, bakery items, so the total cake or the plum can be taken, pudding can be taken as substance or atom. And inside there are some of the plums, like cherries or dry fruits, so they will be embedded inside the pudding. Same way, electrons also embedded inside the atom, like seeds in the watermelon or plums in the pudding. So that's why the model is also called as watermelon model or plum pudding model. So what you can say? So according to Thomson, atom is having a spherical shape. According to Thomson model, atom having a spherical shape. What is the size of the atom? So size of the atom is 10 to the power of minus 10 meter, equal to 1 angstrom unit. And what about the positive charge? The total positive charge and matter distributed uniformly throughout the atom. Positive charge is uniformly distributed, not at a particular place. It is uniformly distributed throughout the atom. Like a plum. But what about negatively charged electrons? So negatively charged electrons are embedded. Electrons are embedded in it, like seeds in the watermelon or plums in the pudding. Like seeds in the watermelon or plums in the pudding. Hence, what is the other name of this model? Thomson model, plum pudding model or watermelon model. So Thomson model is also called as plum pudding model. So it is also called as a plum pudding model or watermelon model. Watermelon model. And one more, Thomson tried to explain, whenever some amount of energy is supplied to the atom. So for example, maybe in the form of the heat, whenever some amount of heat energy is supplied to atom, the electrons in the atom get absorbed the heat energy and they get ionized. So the ionization concept was explained by Thomson model. Ionization of electrons. So ionization of electrons concept explained by Thomson model. And one more he explained, the total positive charge of the atom is exactly equal to the total negative charge of the electrons. So that's why, what is the net charge means? Total positive charge is equal to the total negative charge. And if take net means both will be cancelled and the net charge is equal to 0. So atom is electrically neutral. Atom is electrically neutral. Atom is electrically neutral. So this concept also explained by Thomson. So what is the meaning of atom is electrically neutral? Total positive charge of the atom. Total positive charge of the atom is equal to the total negative charge of electrons. Positive charge of atom is equal to the negative charge of electrons. Both are equal. That's why net charge is equal to, both will be cancelled and net charge is equal to 0. So Thomson model has successfully explained ionization concept and also electrical neutral condition of the atom. These two concepts explained. But Thomson also failed to explain some concepts. What are the drawbacks of this model, Thomson model? Major drawback means he could not explain the spectral lines of the hydrogen atom and also other atoms. So here how the spectral lines are produced by the different elements like hydrogen and other elements, not explained by Thomson model. One drawback. Second, one more drawback, when we are sending alpha particles through atom, whenever I am sending alpha particles through atom, so different alpha particles are scattered with different angles. Some of the particles are moving a straight path, some of the particles scattered with small angles, and some of them are scattered with large angles. But Thomson thought all the alpha particles should have the same angle. For example, the total positive charge uniformly distributed means at a particular place when alpha particle is moving, the positive charge is very small, so that alpha particle may not be scattered much. So at any place you may send the alpha particle in the atom, all the alpha particles must scatter with equal angles. But Rutherford experiment saying all the alpha particles are not having the same angles. So different alpha particles have different scattering angles. Why? That answer not given by Thomson model. So one of the major drawback, Thomson model could not explain large scattering angles of alpha particles. Large angles of large scattering angles of alpha particles. Large scattering angles of alpha particles not explained by Thomson model. It's a one drawback. And one more drawback, this model could not explain spectral lines produced by hydrogen and other atoms also. Hydrogen and other atoms. So this spectral lines concept also not explained by Thomson model. And one more also, Thomson could not explain the stability also. For example, throughout the atom there is a uniform distribution of the positive charge. Electrons also embedded inside the atom at various places like this. And here at a particular place, for example, if you choose a particular area, I am choosing positive charge and a negative charge, both are equal. And both should be cancelled. Whenever both are cancelled means, so the total atom must be collapsed. But here, exactly that whole atom is electrically neutral. But individually, positive charge is not cancelled, negative charge also not cancelled. That's why the stability of the atom is there means he could not explain that also. We can say the stability of the atom also not explained by Thomson model. But major drawbacks means these two we can take. Largest scattering angles of alpha particles not explained by Thomson model, and one more, spectral lines produced by hydrogen atom and other atoms also not explained by Thomson model. It is about Thomson model. So once again, so according to Thomson model, all the substances are made of atoms, and if you choose one particular atom is having a spherical shape with a size 10 to the power of minus 10 meter or equal to 1 angstrom unit, and the total positive charge of the atom is uniformly distributed throughout the atom, and electrons, nothing but negative charged particles, electrons are embedded inside the atom like seeds in the watermelon or plums in the pudding. Hence, this Thomson model is also called as a plum pudding model or watermelon model. And whenever some amount of heat energy is supplied to the atom, the electrons gets ionized. So ionization concept explained by Thomson. And one more, the total positive charge of the atom is exactly equal to the total negative charge of electrons. Whenever both are equal, if you add both, we'll get the net charge is equal to 0. So that's why atom is always electrically neutral. And one more, so what are the major drawbacks of this model means, Thomson model means, when we are sending alpha particles through the Thomson atom, and different particles are scattered with different angles. But why they are having a large scattering angles not explained by Thomson model, one drawback. And one more, when we are taking the spectrum formed by hydrogen and also other atoms, so they are having different spectral lines. So the different spectral lines produced by hydrogen and other atoms also not explained by Thomson model. And exact stability concept also not given by this Thomson model. So because of this drawbacks, this model was discarded or not accepted. Hence, next model proposed by the scientist Rutherford by conducting a alpha particle scattering experiment. So next we'll discuss Rutherford model. But before Rutherford model, what is alpha particle scattering experiment? To rectify the drawbacks of Rutherford Thomson model, Rutherford proposed next model. But what is the origin for the Rutherford model means alpha particle experiment. He conducted alpha particle experiment, and finally he introduced the new concept called nucleus. Who first proposed nucleus means Rutherford. By using which experiment means alpha particle experiment only he proposed the nucleus concept. But under the guidance of Rutherford, two scientists, one is a Geiser and the second one Marsden. These two members conducted an experiment. But finally credit goes to Rutherford only. But who conducted actually means Geiser and the Marsden experiment. So we can write here alpha particle scattering experiment. Alpha particle scattering experiment. Alpha particle scattering experiment. So this experiment sometimes also called Geiser-Marsden experiment. Hans Geiser. Geiser-Marsden. So sometimes in exam they may ask the question, describe or explain Geiser-Marsden experiment. So that is nothing but Rutherford's alpha scattering experiment only. That is also called Geiser-Marsden experiment. Actually, under the guidance of Rutherford, Geiser and Marsden both conducted this experiment. So here there is a simple diagram also. I'll take one source of alpha particles. It is one of the source of alpha particle. Almost all the radioactive elements like radium, polonium, uranium, plutonium, thorium, so they can emit alpha particles. It is one of the source of alpha particle and it is kept inside a lead block. Why we have to choose generally lead block means lead is one of the stable element which can stop the radioactive radiations. That's why here I am choosing one lead block. So inside the lead block we have placed a radioactive source. It is a completed lead block, but exactly there is a opening. Here also lead block was opened one side so that alpha particles can come outside. So it is a lead block. Lead block can absorb the radioactive radiations. Whenever experiment not started, the total lead block is closed like this. When we close it means no alpha particles will come outside. Whenever if you want to start the experiment, we have to open this front part. So automatically alpha particles will come outside. And this indicates a source of alpha particles. Source of alpha particle like radium or bismuth. Source of alpha particles will be taken here. Next, in front of this lead block, we have placed one lead plate. One lead plate also placed here with a small slit at the middle part. It is a lead plate like a lead block. It is also lead plate we have selected here, but the middle there is a small slit like an opening like this. Why we have to take this small opening means whenever the alpha particles came outside from the lead block, bundles of the alpha particles will come outside. But to study a fine beam, we have to allow only a small portion of the alpha particles. That's why we have to take one lead plate with a small opening. So it is called a lead plate with a small slit. The middle part is called a slit. Next, in front of this lead plate, I have placed one gold foil. It is a gold foil. So very small thickness, thin foil. So we have to take a gold and we have to beaten the gold by making a thin sheets. Like how to take like similar to the paper or less than the thickness of the paper, we have to take a gold sheet. Why we have to select a gold means, so atomic number of the gold is equal to 79. Gold. And gold is a malleable. Malleable means we can beat the gold and we can make a very, very thin sheets. And how much thin sheet we can make means, for example, it is a one thin sheet of the gold. And the thickness of the gold is equal to the size of one atom. One atom is equal to size approximately 10 power minus 10 meter. And if take the thin gold foil, if take having a 0.2 into 10 power minus 6 micrometer. So very, very thin. That's why gold is a malleable. We can beat the gold for making a thin sheets. One reason. Second, gold is heavy weight. So because of the more weight, even when alpha particles strike the gold nucleus, so gold cannot be disturbed, but alpha particle can be scattered. So that's why we have to choose gold. For example, whenever a train is at rest and we have taken a small rubber ball and a ball is thrown against a train, what will be happen? So train will not move, but the ball may be scattered. Ball maybe the path deviated. Here same model, ball can be compared with alpha particle, and the train at rest can be compared with the gold nucleus. So gold is a heavy nucleus, and so that it cannot move anywhere. And whenever alpha particles strike the gold nucleus, and because of the gold nucleus, alpha particle path may be deviated. And one more reason, gold is a malleable. We can beaten the gold for making a thin sheets. That's why we selected gold foil. It is a gold foil. Gold foil having a thickness 0.21 micrometer or 2.1 into 10 power minus 6 meter. That is a gold foil. It is a lead block. Next, to observe this one, we are using one fluorescent screen or maybe zinc sulfide screen. We have to take like this. We selected almost the entire chamber can be kept in a complete chamber. We have to place in a vacuum, but here only I am showing some part. It is a zinc sulfide screen. One screen we have to coat with the zinc sulfide. It is also called as a fluorescent screen. Fluorescent screen. So it is a ZNS, zinc sulfide screen. What is the advantage of the zinc sulfide screen? Means whenever alpha particles strike the zinc sulfide screen, we can observe a tiny flash or a bright spot can be observed, which is called scintillation. So that we can understand, whenever if you are observing a bright spot here, that indicates alpha particles strike the nucleus. So for that we are using a zinc sulfide screen. Next, one microscope also we can use. So the purpose of the microscope to count the number of alpha particles. How many alpha particles strike here? If you want to count, means you are using a microscope also, or alpha particle detector. So this can be called alpha particle detector. Alpha particle detector is used. It is a zinc sulfide screen, gold foil, lead plate, and a lead block. Or this total also can be kept in a vacuum chamber, complete vacuum chamber, so that alpha particles may not strike with air molecules and they cannot lose any amount of energy also. These are the main apparatus. And one more I am saying, alpha particle. What is an alpha particle? Alpha particle meaning we can show with the symbol as 2He4. It is atom. Correct? Alpha particle atom, if you take, it contains total 2 protons, 2 neutrons, and 2 electrons. So it is called number of protons 2 in an alpha particle, number of electrons 2, and the number of neutrons also 2. From this helium atom, if you remove 2 electrons, whenever we remove 2 electrons, it contains only 2 protons and also 2 neutrons. Then this can be called as alpha particle. Helium nucleus without electrons, helium nucleus only called as alpha particle. Now, what is the charge of alpha particle? Means it is equal to plus 2 times the charge of the proton. Charge is equal to 2 times the charge of the proton, alpha particle. What about the mass of alpha particle? Means 4 times nearly mass of the proton. It is equal to 4 times mass of the proton and 2 times the charge of the proton. That is called alpha particle. So almost uranium, plutonium, thorium, neptunium, or protoactinium, and also barium or radon, radium, all the radioactive elements can emit alpha particles. So these are the apparatus. Now, what will be happened in the experiment? Whenever if you open this lead block, what will be happen? Number of alpha particles will come outside. So the source will emit a large number of the alpha particles like this. So large number of the alpha particles are emitted from the source, and all are moving along the straight path, and they will collide with the lead plate. But a lead plate having only a small hole at the center or a slit at the center, only the alpha particles in the form of a fine beam will come outside, and they are moving along the straight path and will collide the gold nucleus. Once if alpha particles collide the nucleus, so the nucleus, gold nucleus is a malleable, a thin sheet. That's why they can collide with atoms of the gold or nucleus of the gold, and then the alpha particles will come outside and they may collide with or they may strike the zinc sulfide screen like this. We are observing alpha particles, how they are colliding the zinc sulfide screen. On either sides, we can take like this. Both sides we can show the alpha particles deviated their path and they are colliding also like this. And some of the alpha particles may be exactly retracing their path also. Some of them are moving exactly opposite like this. So this observation we can make. So means when alpha particles coming from the source, they will instant on the lead plate, and we are allowing only a fine beam of the alpha particles. They are colliding with the gold nucleus, and after collision, so the alpha particles are moving with the different angles and the instant on the zinc sulfide screen. At a particular point, if you observe the number of alpha particles, we can use the alpha particle detector or microscope we can use, and we can count the number of alpha particles. And so many times you have to conduct experiment, and later what observations made by Geiser and Marsden. What are the observations of alpha particle experiment? So first observation, what they made means most of the alpha particles, almost more than 99% of the alpha particles, most of the alpha particles are moving along the straight path without scattering or without any deviation. They are moving along straight path. So one observation we can write, most of the alpha particles move straight path. Most of the alpha particles move in straight path. Here straight path means what is a scattering angle? 0. So your scattering angle meaning the angle between the original path, original straight path of the alpha particle and its a deviated path can be called as a scattering angle. So actually, for example, alpha particle moving along a straight line. Now instead of moving along the straight line, the path was deviated like this. Whatever the angle is there between the straight path of the alpha particle and it's a deviated path, that angle can be called as scattering angle. So most of the alpha particles, almost more than 99% of the alpha particles are moving in a straight path without any deviation. That is the first observation. Here theta equal to 0 we can write. Second one, a small number of or less number of alpha particles or a small number of alpha particles or less number of alpha particles almost 0.14% or 0.2% only alpha particles have angles greater than theta greater than 1 degree. A small number of alpha particles have the scattering angles more than 1 degree, means 1 degree, 2 degree, 10 degree, less number of alpha particles. And the third one, very few alpha particles. So here we can write 1 in 8,000. So in a physics textbook or NCERT they given out of 8,000 alpha particles, only one alpha particle has a large scattering angle more than 90 degree. But in chemistry textbook they given 1 in 20,000. Out of 20,000 alpha particles, only one alpha particle has a large scattering angle. But in our book, NCERT book, they given 1 in 8,000. Very few alpha particles have large scattering angles. Large scattering angles. That you can write theta greater than 90 degree. Greater than 90 means around 180 or maybe having large scattering angle, or few may be having like 180 also, retracing their path also, correct. These are the three observations made. One is majority of the alpha particles are moving along the straight path, and a very small less number of alpha particles having the scattering angle, small scattering angles more than 1 degree, like 10 degree, 15 degree, 20 degree, like this. But very few number of alpha particles, 1 out of 8,000 have a large scattering angle more than 90 or maybe 180 around. So these are the three observations made by Geiser and Marsden from the alpha particle experiment. So it is a 3 marks question for a final exam. So write the observations of alpha particle scattering experiment will be asked question. These are the 3 observations. But after observing these observations, what are the conclusions or results made by the Geiser and Marsden? You can write. Next one, what are the conclusions? What conclusion is made by Geiser and Marsden from alpha particle scattering experiment? What are the conclusions or what are the results? Conclusions. So first observation, most of the alpha particles are moving along the straight path without any deviation or without any scattering. So that indicates most of the atom is empty. For example, if take it is an atom. So if you observe, it is an atom with a spherical shape, for example, and a majority of the alpha particles are moving along the straight path like this. Why majority of the alpha particles are moving a straight path means there will be no force acting on these particles. Whenever no repulsive force or no attractive force acting on these particles, then what will be happen? No deviation. Automatically, they are moving along the straight path. So that indicates most of the atom is empty. For example, the total classroom, if you imagine an atom. So for example, the total classroom is empty, for example, and then whenever we are sending something particles, they are moving along straight path. No collision and no attractive force, no repulsive force. So one observation we can write, most of the atom is empty. Most of the atom is empty. If most of the atom is empty means where the matter will be located? Exactly at the center of the atom. Whatever the total positive charge and almost 99.9% of the mass of the atom is only concentrated at the central part of the atom like this. But what Thomson saying? The total positive charge and almost all the mass of the atom is uniformly distributed. But Rutherford alpha particle experiment, it is proved as wrong. So the total matter is not distributed uniformly. Where it is located? At the central part. So 100% of the positive charge and almost all the mass of the atom is only concentrated at the center of the atom. So this central part is called as nucleus. So who first discovered nucleus means Rutherford. From which experiment he discovered means alpha particle experiment. So we can write second one. Total positive charge. Total positive charge and almost total positive charge and almost all the mass of the atom, almost all the mass of the atom is concentrated at its center. So this central part of atom is called nucleus. Center, which is called nucleus. So the nucleus was discovered by Rutherford from alpha particle experiment. Next, one more observation they made. Why some of the alpha particles are having a large scattering angle? So here, when alpha particle moving along the straight path, alpha particle having a positive charge and a central part having a positive charge, and whenever alpha particle is moving very closer to nucleus like this, so because of the repulsive force between the alpha particle and also the nucleus, both will be repelled. Hence the path of alpha particle was changed like this or deviated like this. whenever head-on collision takes place, directly alpha particle is moving directly towards the nucleus. There is a large repulsive force between the alpha particle and the nucleus. Hence, its path will be 180 degree. Retraces its path. It will move exactly backwards. So we can write due to the repulsion between alpha particle and the nucleus. Due to the repulsion between alpha particle and a positively charged nucleus. Alpha particle and a positively charged nucleus. There is a large scattering of alpha particles. There is a large scattering of alpha particles. There is a large scattering of alpha particles. And one more, he mentioned about electrons also. Where the electrons means outside the nucleus. You can write fourth point also. Electrons are occupied in various orbits outside the nucleus. Electrons are occupied in various orbits outside the nucleus. Electrons are occupied in various orbits in outside the nucleus. So atom is a atom is nothing but having a complete empty, majority part empty, only central part having a most of the mass. Correct. That's only the nucleus, but atom which is bigger and which is smaller means atom is a very bigger. How many times means nearly 1 lakh times bigger than the size of the nucleus. If the size of the nucleus is equal to 1 meter for example, but atom will be 10 power 5 times bigger. So that's only atom is very bigger than the size of the nucleus. So this will be nothing but given by Rutherford experiment. Conclusions. What are the observations? What are the conclusions? Separately both are 3 marks questions. Write the observations of the alpha particle experiment and also write the conclusions of the alpha particle experiment. So from this experiment, I'll give one some note points, formulae. On what factor number of alpha particles scattered in the experiment depends. I'll write here one formula. Here for example, thickness of the gold foil is equal to T. I'll take a thickness is equal to T. Number of alpha particles incident on the screen is equal to N or N theta. And number of incident alpha particles is equal to Ni. And the number of atoms in the gold foil per unit volume is equal to small n. And Z1 is equal to atomic number of the alpha particle. And Z2 is equal to atomic number of the gold foil. And the distance between the gold and screen is equal to R. Kinetic energy of alpha particle is equal to Ke. Then what are the number of alpha particles scattered? In our regular syllabus not given, but complete exams important. Right here, number of alpha particles scattered. Number of alpha particles scattered at an angle theta or given by number of alpha particles scattered at an angle theta or given by, I'm writing n suffix theta is equal to n suffix I am writing, that indicates the number of alpha particles incident on the gold foil. Ni is equal to into n into T. Here n is equal number of atoms per unit volume. T thickness of the gold foil divided by 16 into E square by 4 pi epsilon naught. It is a constant value. E charge of the proton and epsilon naught permittivity of the free space. In electrostatics we have this symbol. This total value constant whole square into Z1 square into Z2 square divided by Z1 square into Z2 square divided by R square into K square or Ke square. K is equal to kinetic energy of alpha particle. R is equal to distance between the screen and gold foil. In the angle also there, sine power 4 theta by 2. Sine power 4 theta by 2 you should write. Lengthy formula, but no need to remember or no need to practice the complete formula also. In our textbook or regular syllabus not given. But from this, I'll write the letters also. Ni is equal to number of incident alpha particles. Number of incident alpha particles. How many alpha particles are incident on the gold foil? Ni. Next, small n represents number of atoms per unit volume. In a gold foil, how many atoms are there in a 1 unit volume? That indicates to small n. Next, T is equal to thickness of gold foil. Already I mentioned thickness of the gold foil is equal to or thickness of the target metal. So always no need to use the gold foil, your choice. Whatever the target metal we are using, so that will be taken as here T should take. Next, E is equal to charge of proton. Already we know 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb charge of the proton. R is equal to distance between. R is equal to distance between target element. Here target means gold foil. Target and screen. Whatever zinc sulfide screen is there, that screen you should take. And one more, Ke is equal to kinetic energy of alpha particle. Kinetic energy of alpha particle. Next, theta is equal to scattering angle. So already mentioned what is meant by scattering angle. The angle between the straight path of the alpha particle and its deviated path can be called as a scattering angle. So generally scattering angle may be between 0 degree to 180 degree. Scattering angle. Next, Z1 is equal to atomic number. So atomic number of alpha particle. So generally atomic number of the alpha particle we know it is equal to 2. Instead of the alpha particle, any new element, new particle given, we should take its atomic particle number. And Z2, atomic number of target element, atomic number of target nucleus or target metal. If you choose gold, it is equal to atomic number 79 you should take. So this formula, from this formula, how the number of alpha particles scattered we can understand and we can solve some problems in competitive exams. So N is directly proportional to thickness. More the thickness of the foil, more the number of alpha particles scattered. But inversely proportional to kinetic energy. Inversely proportional to sine power 4 theta by 2. Inversely proportional to R square. So from this I'll write how the number of alpha particles scattered will depend on various parameters. First one, number of alpha particles scattered directly proportional to here Z1 is equal to, for example, atomic number of the alpha particle which is equal to 2, we know already. But Z2 is equal, I am taking a Z which is equal to atomic number of the target element. So N is proportional to Z square. Here Z2 is nothing but I am taking a Z. That implies N1 by N2 is equal to Z1 by Z2 whole square you should write. Here you have to understand carefully. Z1, Z2 means these two, not these two letters. Here Z2 place I am taking a Z because atomic number of the target element is equal to Z. For example, first I am using a gold. I calculated how many alpha particles are scattered. Gold place I am taking any other element like silver or other element. Then how many particles are scattered? We have to use this formula. Second, number of alpha particles scattered is inversely proportional to Ke square, kinetic energy of the alpha particle. If you are using a different alpha particles with a different kinetic energies, we can write Ke2 by Ke1 whole square. You should write inversely proportional. One more, how it depends upon the theta. It is important formula. N proportional to 1 by sin power 4 theta by 2. Remaining all the parameters we kept constant, then n is proportional to 1 by sin power 4 theta by 2 you should write. That implies n1 by n2 equal to sin power 4, here inversely proportional. That's why you should write theta 2 by 2 divided by sin power 4 theta 1 by 2 you should write. It is important formula. Different angles given, we can calculate the ratio of the number of alpha particles scattered also. If you write thickness also, directly proportional to thickness, or whenever the distance between the slit and screen and gold foil changed, also alpha particles may change. So from with this, sometimes problems may be given. I'll give one simple problem. Try this one. In Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment, in Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment, the number of alpha particles scattered, number of alpha particles scattered at 60-degree angle, number of alpha particles scattered at a 60-degree angle is 100. Full stop. Then the number of alpha particles scattered, at 90-degree will be, number of alpha particles scattered at 90-degree will be, remaining all the parameters constant only, correct? Now it is a one CET question or NEET or JEE level, this type of questions will be asked. Try this question, read carefully. In Rutherford alpha particle experiment, the number of alpha particles scattered at 60-degree first, correct? So you should write theta 1 is equal to 60. Should write here theta 1 is equal to 60-degree given. How many alpha particles are scattered? 100. So number of alpha particles are scattered, you should take n1 is equal to 100. Next, how many alpha particles are scattered at a 90-degree angle they asked. So second case theta 2 is equal to 90. Then what are the number of alpha particles scattered? So question mark. Now which formula suitable you should write. After reading the question, so carefully should note down the data like this and you have to search the suitable formula. So number of alpha particles and angle relation asked. So we can use this formula. N1 by N2. N1 by N2 is equal to sin power 4 theta 2 by 2 divided by sin power 4 theta 1 by 2 you should write. N1 place you should write 100. So 100 by N2 we should calculate is equal to sin power 4 theta 2 they given 90 by 2 you should write divided by sin power 4 theta 1 they given 60 by 2. Left side no need to change. Then right side is sin 90 by 2 equals sin 45. Sin 45 value 1 by root 2. Right here it is equal to 1 by root 2 whole to the power of 4 divided by sin 60 by 2 means sin 30. Sin 30 1 by 2. So that it is equal to 1 by 2 whole to the power of 4. That is equal to 1 by root 2 into 2 by 1 whole to the power of 4. I'll write complete whole power 4. There are 2 we can write root 2 into root 2. 1 root 2, 1 root 2 get cancelled. Then only we can write root 2 power 4. Correct? There 4 if you want to write 2 into 2. Whole power 4 you can write 2 into 2. 1 root 2 square will be cancelled. Well, we have 2 square is equal to 4. So it is equal to 4 you should write. Therefore, 100 by N2 is equal to 4. But what about N2? N2 is equal to 4 ones are 4 25s are cancelled equal to 25. That is the answer. So this type of questions in NEET or JEE level important. So in next class we'll discuss remaining concepts. Distance of the closest approach. What is the impact parameter? What are the postulates and the drawbacks of Rutherford model? We'll discuss in tomorrow class. Okay, thank you.